What up, though, One Pride? This is the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, the podcast where One Pride goes worldwide. My name is Antony Fitzpatrick, and this is the college football podcast transfer portal chaos. Maybe a little bit of a different thing today. Usually the college pod is myself and Ryan. Obviously, we've not been on the air for a little bit now in terms of the main college show. Good news. As of next week, hopefully next Wednesday, we are both going to be back on schedule again. Ryan will be back, and we will be back to our weekly shows, which is just in time because we are about to head into draft season. Obviously, for those of you who don't know, obviously Ryan has been away for a little bit. He's been dealing with some issues away from here. That's why we've not been going, and to be honest, I've not really wanted to do the shows without him because this show is as much his as it is mine. But yeah, as I say, he's going to be back next week, and hopefully we can crack on then with all things draft related. But I thought, with us been away for a little while, and I had the day off today, I thought let's try and catch up on a few things whilst we've been gone. Obviously, the college shows, as they would be anyhow, we're going to morph into draft season going forward. So I thought before we do that, before Rise Back, before we do all that, we'll take a look at what's going on in the world of college football at the moment. And of course, the one big thing that's happened recently is the transfer portal. See, the transfer portal, thankfully now, is just one transfer portal, 2 weeks at the beginning of January, and it's been so much nicer, I think, this year. I agree with the new rules about it, but it has been chaotic, it has been hectic. So what we're going to do, or what I'm going to do, we're going to look at some of the top classes that have come outside, in the portal, which teams have done the best, and just to kind of let you know about some of the player movements, really. And of course, because it's you guys, Brent, if Mile Marker's in the building, and everybody, I've had a little look at your teams as well, so I can tell you a little bit about your team's transfer classes as well. That's the Golden Gophers. If Lisa comes in, I'll do Georgia. Brent's there, so of course we'll have a little bit of Michigan in the building, but my bloody mic doesn't want to play ball here. So yeah, there's basically two lists I'm going to do. So the 24/7 Sports overall list, so these are the transfer classes which statistically are the best. They rate them on all the stars and everything. These are the 10 best classes of it all. And then we're going to go through the On3 Team Transfer Portal Index. So it's a proprietary system of those, but what it does, that is an algorithm which determines if a school has improved its overall team talent, whether it's stayed the same or whether it's declined in talent during the transfer window. So basically, has the transfer window for your team made you better, kept you at the same, or made you worse? Because you could have one of the best transfer classes in the country. You could have the number one transfer class in the country, but if you've hemorrhaged a lot of talent through the portal as well, then overall your team might not necessarily be as good. So we're going to do the top 10 classes overall, and then the top 10 teams who have had the best portals according to the on3 teams algorithm, as it were. I thought that would be a fun thing for us to do today, and Grandizer may get his wish of a little bit of a shorter stream for this one, so we'll see how it gets on. But yeah, all the housekeeping stuff, Discord, Discord. If you want in, let us know. Main podcast was the other day. Unfortunately, we had a poignant tribute to Steve, who we lost, which is, it's gonna... I didn't say anything on that pod, and I didn't want it to come across as disrespectful, but I spent the entire day bawling my eyes out, and I didn't really want to talk about it, but I will do in due course with him, but we love you, Steve, as always. But we did our Be the GM episode, so if you haven't seen that, go check it out, how we would do the Detroit Lions off-season. As always, me and Ash arguing all the time. The thing I love about him, we all have our different views on it, but check it out if you can. Don't forget to like and sub to everything, Twitch, YouTube, all that good sort of stuff. We appreciate all of you in the building with us. Of course, we've got the feedback form and everything. If you want to give us critique on what we do, then please let us know, and then we're monetized and all that stuff. So if you want to help that way, great. But if not, don't worry about it. We just love having you in the building, first and foremost. I see Brent's in the building. Hope you're well. Contra Pastan's in. Grandizer is in as well. thanks for all being in. If you've got any questions during the evening, just let me know, and I'll do questions as well as doing this portal stuff as well. So we'll kind of mix in a little bit of both. Brent goes, transfer portal made me angry. I lost my guy Cole Sullivan. Yes, he is an Oklahoma Sooner now. I was surprised when I looked at the Michigan portal earlier. They've not been uber aggressive in the portal in terms of the ratings of the guys they've got in. They've got quite a lot of small school guys coming in and lesser guys coming in, but not been as aggressive as I thought they'd been for some reason. So yeah, but anywho, let's crack on with this. I've been going around. So we're going to do, first off, this is the top 10 portal teams. So this is 24/7 Sports. They have an overall metric now, it's usually graded by the stars of the recruits that people get in, but also it goes down to experience and all that as well, and they just tally it up for one big number on the end. Now, I've not done the exact numbers for all these. I've just written down the top 10 and written down a list of the guys who have been coming in and maybe talk about them a bit. And then, as I say, we're going to look at the teams who overall have improved the best, because the lists are a little bit different. There are a few teams who are in both of these, but in the terms of the teams who have gotten better because of the portal, they've not necessarily got the best classes, but they are much better teams as a result of it. Anywho, let's crack on with the 24/7 one. I'll do it 10 through 1 as always. So ranking number 10 from this portal cycle, and I should quickly add, the cycle is not fully over just yet. Some players still haven't come in, but the vast majority of people have at this point. So, yeah. So yeah, these may change a little bit, but they should not change too much. But coming in at number 10, and just to improve Brent's mood even more, Notre Dame are coming at number 10 in this cycle, specifically because they've got a lot of 4-star transfers coming in, although not necessarily the most experienced group. The most recognisable name they've got coming in the building out these 4 stars is cornerback DJ McKinney from Colorado. He has been a starter there last year. Very good coverage corner, making his way over to South Bend. I think he's probably going to do really well there, DJ McKinney is. But yeah, he's the most recognisable starter out of them all. And then you've got this kind of sleuth of 4 stars coming from fairly big programs who have kind of dipped their toe in the water with experience, but they're not full-time starters yet. From Alabama, you've got the 4-star defensive end Keon Keeley. From Michigan, you've got the 4-star true freshman cornerback Jaden Sanders. Obviously, he'll be a don't know if he's done enough, but he'll probably be a redshirt freshman next year. I only saw about 100 snaps on the field this season, but I know Michigan did think quite highly of him. You've got the 4-star defensive lineman Tioni Gray from Oregon, and then you've got the 4-star wide receiver Quincy Porter out of Ohio State. As I say, all these 4 have like a smattering of 100 or so snaps between them all. But obviously Notre Dame planning for the future. A lot of these guys probably won't see the field first thing next year. You'll probably be seeing them in about 12 months' time. But in terms of the caliber of recruit that they've got in through this cycle, they've picked up a lot of pieces from some of their bigger rivals. And obviously it remains to be seen whether they work out or not. But a lot of kids will move early nowadays. If they don't start year 1, they'll look for it right away. It's not necessarily they failed at the current team. They're just looking for somewhere they can go, and obviously Notre Dame, as always, getting plagued by the draft, so they're going to have a lot of open spots available for them. But yeah, DJ McKinney leads the class there at Notre Dame. Coming in at number 9, not all that surprising, but one of the biggest spenders in college football right now. Of course, Texas Tech were going to make this list in terms of having one of the better transfer classes, and of course they are headlined by their new brand spanking new 5-star quarterback Brendan Sorsby, coming over from Cincinnati, one of the most coveted quarterbacks in the portal this year, maybe outside of Sam Levitt and a couple of others. But this is a guy I had to do a complete 360 on this time 12 months ago. We didn't think very highly of him on this pod, but he had a great year at Cincinnati last year. Obviously, they had a really good start to the season, tailed off a bit towards the end. It wasn't really on him per se. Obviously, all the news was made when his girlfriend committed there, and everyone says, oh yeah, he's going as well, and it turns out he did. But that's a big pickup for Texas Tech. Obviously, Behren Morton coming to the draft this year, so they need a new quarterback, and they got the best one on the market. They are continuing to spend that money, but the crazy part is where they've gone. Their defensive line recruits are the ones that lead the way here. Of course, they're losing a lot this year. David Bailey's probably going to go top 10 in the draft. You've got Lee Hunter, probably going to be a day 2 pick, the defensive tackle. You've got Romello Height, the other defensive end, who's coming to the draft as well. So you're losing 3 of your 4 starters, and of course you're losing Jacob Rodriguez, the best linebacker in the nation, period, from your linebacker core. So your front 7 have taken a hit, but they have gone to lengths to fix that through the portal, as well as a good incoming high school class. You've got the 4-star defensive end Adam Trick out of Miami of Ohio, and what a season he's had. One of the highest graded DNs in the country, period, and we know that the MAC produce these defensive ends who can just go up to the Power 4 and they just take like a duck to water. He was one of the most coveted DNs in the portal, and they were able to get their hands on him as well. But not only him, you've got 2 more defensive ends coming to the party here. You've got Trey White, the 3-star defensive end from from San Diego State. He has been one of the best pass rushers in college football the last 2 years. He's got 21 sacks over the last 2 years from that factory, which is San Diego State, when it comes to its edge rushers. The Mountain West in general, they just have some hella tough pass rushers come out of that conference. But I thought he would have been coming up to the draft by now. Obviously, he thinks he needs 1 more year. He's coming up to the Power 5, but 21 sacks in 2 years is a lot. That is going to reduce the impact of Bailey and Height's loss to the Red Raiders, as is his fellow transfer in. You've got Jamond Mathis out of Virginia as well. 6 sacks for him last year. He's a high 3-star, he's rated as, but he had a really good year in the ACC last year. So that is 3 defensive ends you've come in, some of the top of the market guys, and that Texas Tech defensive line is not going to be any less scary because it's lost Height and Bailey this year. And then for Jacob Rodriguez, obviously one of the best linebackers in the country coming to the draft, what do? You replace him with one of the best linebackers in the country. They only went and got Austin Romaine from Kansas State, who I know has a lot of admirers in our Discord, specifically Poole as well. I know loves him. Just an absolutely stupendous off-ball linebacker who just creates such havoc going for the quarterback. He is going to eat in that Texas Tech system. Austin Romaine is, and like I say, the amount of losses they've had in the portal, they've had to the draft, they've just gone out and completely fixed it. Adam Trick, Austin Romaine, Trey White, Jamon Mathis, all these guys are going to be major contributors to that Red Raiders team this year. So quite rightfully, them restocking that defense and getting a much better quarterback than Behren Morton, this team is going to be trouble this year. So Texas Tech come in at number 9 on the top 10 list of transfer portal classes. At number 8, we've got the reigning national champions, the Indiana Hoosiers, and no team is losing more to the draft and everything than they are this year. Obviously, Fernando Mendoza's on his way. Their 2 main receivers are coming up to the draft. Both running backs are coming to the draft. A whole host of that defense is coming to the draft as well, and they were always going to need to hit the portal. They were never going to be able to do this just through high school and internal development, and Indiana now have some deep pockets with all this national championship money behind them, and more importantly, players want to come to this team now. This was not a destination place 2 years ago. Now people want to come here because they know they can win a natty on this team, and with Fernando Mendoza on the way out the door, they were always going to need another quarterback, and for the 3rd year in a row, or for the 3rd time in a row, don't know if Mendoza's been there 1 year, but they've gone through transfer quarterbacks and they're doing so again, and they've got one of the best quarterbacks in the portal outside of Sorsby, and another one from the Big 12, Josh Hoover from TCU, who I know Ryan absolutely adores, and Ryan is convinced that one day he will win the Heisman, which he might now well do, that he's Indiana, but he has slung, I think he's in there with nearly 10,000 yards for TCU, just got an absolute dart of an arm, all the power and strength you want behind it, and he can just hit every area of the field. He's got a little dual threat ability to him as well, kind of like Mendoza does. Not an out and out dual threat guy, but he's very mobile in the pocket, can escape pressure if he needs to. But that was a big get for them. You can say that at least they've kind of plateaued. The level of quarterback play is not going to drop significantly, and from having a Heisman winner, that was about the best they could do in the circumstances. But Hoover leads this class here for Indiana, but they've got him some targets as well. Obviously, Elijah Sarrett has gone, Omar Cooper Jr. has gone. They've got one of the best young receivers in the country, and they've paired him with Nick Marsh out of Michigan State, and the man is going to get to eat on a good team now. Nick Marsh was one hell of a pickup. I thought Michigan would get him personally, try and pair him up with Andrew Marsh, the brother. But we all know Nick Marsh's quality on a team that has not been good and has not had good quarterback play. He has still been, he's still been very good for them. And I think now you're going to bring him over to Indiana. He's immediately going to be one of the biggest targets over there. You're going to get the ball into his hand plenty. I think he's going to go stat mad this year. So Nick Marsh, hell of a pickup for them. They've also got Shaz Preston from Toledo, I think it was, the 3-star wide receiver. Hang on. I've initialed all the teams here, and I knew this was going to bite me in the ass because I might not be able to get him. Well, where's he from again? Did I get it right? Receiver. Where was I? No, Tulane. My apologies. So he's brought in Shaz Preston from Tulane. 735 yards, 4 touchdowns last year. Nearly 17 yards a reception. He's 6 foot, 206 pounds. He's going to be the replacement for Surratt probably on the outside. And then Nick Marsh is a hybrid. He can kind of work all over the show. But you bring Hoover in, you've given him Marsh, you've given him Preston to throw at. And as I say, you've already got some good young pieces there on that receiver group as well. He's going to be just fine with that. They've had to go after the offensive line as well. You've got in starting left guard Joe Bruner from Wisconsin. He's a 4-star recruit inwards. Had a very good year for Wisconsin last year. The Trenchmen kind of get forgot about at Wisconsin because they're such a forgettable football team. But usually if you go for the trenches there, you're pretty good. But they're going to need some pieces moving on that line. Obviously, left tackle Carter Smith is coming back, so you're going to put in Bruner next to him. That's going to be a really good left-hand side of the line for Indiana next year. So good work from them in upgrading. And then at running back, you've brought in Turbo Richard from Boston College. Now again, I listened to Locked on Boston College. It's a great show. He knows what he's talking about. They love Turbo Richard there. He's kind of taken his time to get into that team and to make his mark known, but there were parts of last year where he was just unbelievable, and there were some games he just took by the scruff of the neck, and you know, he's quick. He is like his namesake, Turbo by name, Turbo by nature. He's going to add some much needed speed to this Indiana backfield, because I love the guys in there, but they didn't really have a breakaway speed guy per se. And Turbo Richard is going to be that for them now. So I think they've really gone well after the skill position players, and that offense I think is going to be absolutely just fine going into this season. Defensively, they've got some lesser known names here. The big acquisition was the 4-star defensive end Toby Osunsanmi from Kansas State. He had an unbelievable start last year to Kansas State. Remember the Ireland game that they played? He had like 3 sacks in that game against Iowa State. He just absolutely wrecked them, and through the first 6 or 7 games he was having a tremendous year, but then got injured and so missed kind of the back half of the year. He's been at Kansas State a few years now, but He was just starting to really come good. He's an absolute man monster of a man who can move like a rocket. And obviously with no Mikhail Camera this year for the Hoosiers, he is going to be the main man on the edge. And I think he's going to be fantastic there. Austin Samney was the guy who you wanted to go out and get, and they got him. So there's a big one there. And they're going to pair him with Joshua Burnham out of Notre Dame. He's another 4-star defensive end. Seen action for Notre Dame as well. So you've brought in a lot of experience to replace what you're losing there. So a couple of really good pickups. They've got a new pair of safeties. You've got Jaquan Sanks from Cincinnati, and you've got Preston Zachman from Wisconsin. Both starters as well. Zachman is a name you want to keep an eye on. You're coming from that Wisconsin secondary that's just had Holman, guys like that. They're ball hawks. They make a lot of big impact plays there. And of course, safety is a place where Indiana are affected this year, so he's going to walk straight into that team. And then you've got the cornerback Carson Williams out of Montana State as well, one of the best prospects coming up out the FCS this year. I'll probably tell you more about him, but another who just loves to take the ball away. And at Montana State, they love to defend against the run. Obviously, no D'Angelo Pons for next year for Indiana, so they've really done a great job at replacing the bits they've lost to the draft with high-level starters and experienced guys. And they've got a good high school class coming in as well. Some guys who you probably will see next year as well. So for me, Indiana should maybe be a bit higher on this list. But they come in at number 8 in terms of the transfer portal classes. Next, we move on to number 7, and one of the few teams you get in here where you get a new head coach, you get a new influx of transfers, and you have a good portal class. And to be fair, no one has had a better portal class, especially on the offensive side of the ball, than Oklahoma State, the laughingstock of the Power 4 over the last few years. Haven't won a game in forever, not won a Big 12 game in forever. Now, obviously, you have your new head coach coming in from North Texas, and that is the headline of this portal class coming in. Your main 3, they've got 54 transfers coming in altogether. This is an overhaul. This is a dead team which has been purged and has been started from scratch. But offensively especially, this is just insane. Obviously you've got your 5-star quarterback, Drew Mestamaker, the walk-on, the guy who wasn't even going to play quarterback at one point. And obviously he has a QB whisperer of a head coach who has just turned him into one of the most coveted prospects in the nation. We wondered whether Oklahoma State would be a big enough lure to get him there. But he went with them. But Drew Mestamaker headlines that. Caleb Hawkins, the 4-star running back, the true freshman last year, who just broke all sorts of records, up near 20 touchdowns for him on his true freshman season. Again, probably the most sought after running back of the class, going to Oklahoma State. And then their star wide receiver Wyatt Young as well. He's listed as a 4-star here. Wyatt Young, another young entity, 1,000-yard season for him, can play all across that receiver core. He is Mestamaker's guy. When he's looking around for someone to throw at, Wyatt Young is always the first guy he's looking for. But you've got the 3 major pieces from North Texas coming along that gives you your quarterback and 2 of your best skill players. 2 of the best skill players in the Big 12, period. But this wide receiver core for OK State is going to be insane this year. So you've got Wyatt Young who's going to lead it, but you've got more transfers coming in. So you've got Justin Bowick. He is the ex-receiver from Illinois. He's a 4-star recruit coming in. Good production from him last year. So you've got your ex-receiver on the outside. You've got Chris Barnes, the 4-star wide receiver from Wake Forest. I know all about him because when we played him last year, when NC State played him last year, the very first play of the game, he housed a 95-yard return on us. He is lightning. He's one of the best returners in the country, which is what he brings, but he is lightning quick as well, and he's got plenty of receiving yards under his belt for the Wake Forest side. So you've got Wyatt Young, who's a do-it-all guy. You've got Justin Bowick, who's your big X. You've got Chris Barnes, who's your receiver/speed guy. And just to add to that as well, they've also got in the 3-star wide receiver Israel Polk from Akron. 8 touchdowns for Polk last year for the Zips, who posted a much better season than they have in recent years, and he was a highly coveted receiver amongst the Power Four as well. So all of a sudden you've gone from Oklahoma State having nothing to Oklahoma State having potentially everything, potentially one of the best all-round receiver groups in college if all these guys meet their potential in this system. And then you've got the offensive line, which has been bolstered as well, primarily by North Texas transfers. The left tackle Braden Nelson and the right guard Johnny Dixon, both high 3 stars, both were starting for North Texas last year. And they've also brought in a center, I think from Wake, but he was the center for North Texas the year before last. He was the starter there, so technically they're returning 3 starters from 2024 with them for this line, and then adding to it. And of course, the OK State offensive line was trashed last year. So, a big influx there. And then you've got a running back depth as well. You've got Trey Page, who's coming in from Tarleton. Brett will know all about Trey Page because Tarleton beat Army last year, but he put up some crazy numbers. Had to deal with a little bit of an injury niggle towards the end of the year, but when you've got Trey Page coming in, backing up Caleb Hawkins, you have the potential for one of the best running back tandems in the Big 12, period. So a lot has gone in to fixing Oklahoma State's offense. Not many names known on defense. I think they're trying to do a bit of that in-house. Obviously a lot of guys in, not as noticeable names, but OK State's offense has had a makeover. If this lands right, you could see it as a very high rated unit next year, so keep a very close eye on it. So OK State come in at number 7 on the portal list. At number 6 in terms of best portal classes, we've got another team that has been infused by talent from a new head coach's previous team. We have Penn State, the Nittany Lions, and Matt Campbell coming in from Iowa State. And this is another team which is rebuilding their offense completely from scratch, because we all know with Penn State, the defense is usually pretty damn good, and there's just NFL talent absolutely flowing out of it. The offense has always been a little bit of a different fish. Obviously, they've just had 2 of the best running backs in school history, but both are gone now, so you're starting from scratch, and the quarterback play and the receiver play has just been substandard there for so long that something needs to change. And of course, for his first year, Matt Campbell is bringing his signal caller with him, the Becticle, the man who I have spent years and years gushing praise onto, and he is going to get his chance in Happy Valley. Rocco Beck, the 4-star quarterback, coming to take over, and I think he is the best quarterback the Nittany Lions have had in years. And I don't think it's even close, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do here. But he's not on his own. His cast is coming with him, and we know how Rocco elevates talent to NFL level. You've got the ginormous 6'7" tight end Benjamin Brahma coming with him. He's a 4-star as well. Benjamin Brahma is an impressive prospect. And a great safety valve for Beck, but he's also a good deep threat as well. So you've got Benjamin Brahma coming. You've got Chase Sowell, the 4-star wide receiver came in from East Carolina last year. Didn't hit the ground running like we expected him to at Iowa State last year, but as the year went on, you could see them getting more comfy with one another. Sowell probably, I think he's going to have his breakout year this year. But he's come along for the ride as well. And then you've got Brett Eskildson, who I adore. Brett Eskildson and Rocco Becht are a hell of a pairing. They trust one another implicitly, and I said he's probably going to be the next big receiver to come out the Iowa State system up to the NFL. Well, he's going to be at Penn State now, but in Eskildson and Sowell, these are going to be receivers that Penn State have just not had the quality of in recent years, and there's a legitimate passing attack to be had here. They're bringing Carson Hansen, the running back, as well. He's been a mainstay on the Iowa State team for the last 2 or 3 years now, and while he won't be Katron Allen or Nicholas Singleton, I think he's going to do just fine there. And of course, Penn State always have their own in-house options to bring through at running back. And then they've upgraded their offensive line as well. Trevor Burr, the left guard, has come from Iowa State as well. And then they've got Brock Riker, the center from Texas State, the 3-star, was just a redshirt freshman, I believe, last year. But one of the best centers in the nation on GJ Kinney's team. So they've got their starting center now for several years to come. So again, the offense has just been completely and utterly overhauled, and for the better as well. Campbell and his defensive identity, they're going to be just fine. He's brought a lot of his secondary from Iowa State with him, and Caleb Bacon, his main linebacker, as well. So I don't think anything's really going to change on that standpoint. They're going to be just as dominant as always, but I think that offense certainly has had the makeover it needed. So Penn State there at number 6 on Transfer Portal, the best list. Going to number 5, we've got, and again, sorry Brent, the Ohio State, smarting off their losses this year and getting their ass handed to them by Indiana. They are trying to rebuild and get back to the natty game, and they're one of the teams who have gone in a different direction. It's not offense talking this time. Their portal acquisitions have all been built around their defense, and of course that's been one of the best units in the country in recent years. And as always with the draft, it's going to lose its members as well, and they've gone really hard trying to replace them. They've raided Alabama, so you've got the 4-star defensive tackle James Smith and the 4-star defensive end Qua Rousseau. Both saw significant playing time for the Crimson Tide last year and come together as a pair in looking to excel in Patricia's scheme, which for better or worse looked pretty good. Obviously no Caleb Downs for them this year coming up to the draft. The safety room needs updating, and boy howdy did they. Maybe the best pair of transfer safeties they got in the country. They got Earl Little Jr. from Florida State, one of the few members of that Florida State defense who can hang their head up high after the pathetic efforts of that team last year, but he was a huge get for this team. And they also got the 4-star safety Terry Moore from Duke. Now, in 2024, Terry Moore had an absolutely barnstorming season. You know, there was a claim that he could have been one of the best safeties in the nation, and you would not have doubted that. It was absolutely sensational what he did there. He got hurt last year. He played a little bit in the first game, I think, and that was it. So he's missed a year through injury, but if they get anywhere near the Terry Moore that played for Duke in 2024, he's going to be an instant starter on that team. And in that Ohio State D, he will elevate himself to one of the best safety prospects in the nation. Again, very quickly. So, hella good work from Ohio State in the portal in regenerating the safety room. Between Earl Little and Terry Moore, those two are going to be a menace for a lot of quarterbacks next year. And they didn't end there. They got the 3-star linebacker Christian Alliegro from Wisconsin. He was a starter there. And again, we trust guys that come out of that Wisconsin system. They are well trained. They are very hard hitting. The linebackers are very clever. They're very multifaceted in what they can do. And Alliegro is going to join in that linebacker room, probably replace a little bit of what Sonny Styles did for them without maybe so much of the safety work. But in terms of the hard-hitting tone setter, that's what Alliegro is. And, you know, he will, you know, replace a lot of what they lost there. And then you got the 3-star defensive tackle John Walker coming from UCF, who low-key could be one of their best pickups. UCF have just been on this historic run of good defensive tackles. Obviously, Lee Hunter before he went to Texas Tech last year, and John Walker was the guy who stepped up in his stead. Had an absolutely fantastic year on a terrible UCF team last season, but bringing him into the interior of this Ohio State offensive line, he could low-key be one of the shining lights on this defense this year. They have just absolutely knocked it out of the park when it comes to their defensive prospects. And then the underrated one I wanted to mention, they got the 3-star wide receiver Devin McQueen out of UTSA. Now, you who watch the pod know I watch UTSA very closely and I love their prospects. 726 yards and 8 touchdowns for him last year, and he plays a little bit of hybrid, plays a bit in the slot, plays a bit on the outside. Obviously, Ohio State is not the easiest place to get in as a receiver. They love to in-house build their receivers there, but McQueen was very highly sought after from most of the Power 4, and for him to choose there, They must have said that, there's going to be an opportunity for you to make plays, because he's near the end of his college career now. He's got 1 year, maybe 2 left at most, so he wouldn't be coming here if he didn't have an opportunity to shine. But McQueen, he's very underrated. He blocks really good, like all the UTSA receivers do. They have to in that run-heavy system. But he's very good technically with his route running and everything. And he's just got home run hit ability as well. So Devin McQueen will be one to low-key watch for them, even though he won't be the most shiny of prospects on that Ohio State team. But yeah, Ohio State coming in at number 5 on the list of best transfer portal teams according to 24/7 this year. Now we're getting into the big boys now. At number 4, we've got Miami, the Hurricanes, the losers in the national championship game. And a couple of weeks ago, they wouldn't have made this list because they got really lucky at the last moment. Their class, especially on offense, they needed a new quarterback. Carson Beck going to the NFL. It looked like they missed out on everybody possible, and they were looking down the barrel this season when, until at the very last moment, they managed to turn the head of Darian Mensah at Duke, and it was not easy. He had to go through a court case. Duke sued him because of his NIL and what he is. It was this weird situation where it basically wasn't allowed to leave because he was tied to them because of his NIL deal, but they agreed to a separation. I think he had to pay them some money. He's going to get more from Miami, so it doesn't really matter, but they were able to turn his head, and at the last moment, Darian Mensah arrives to be the new quarterback for Miami, and he's bringing his favourite target from Duke with him, Cooper Barkati. 1,000 yards for him last year. You can bet your bottom dollar that's going to be his favourite target as well. He's bringing his right-hand man with him, is Darian Mensah, but 2 big 4-star guys for them, and it doesn't end. They've got 2 more wide receivers coming who are 4-stars. They've got Vandravius Jacobs from South Carolina. He was a starter for them last year. Got some good production out of him. And then you've got Cam Vaughn, the ex-receiver from West Virginia, who is very underrated at what he does, but he's going to give Darian Mensah a good strong contested catch target on the perimeter whilst Barkati goes about his work. But between Barkati, Jacobs and Vaughn, that's a really good influx of wide receiver talent for the new quarterback. And then of course defensively, they've got to replace a lot. No Ruben Bain, no Akeem Mesidor. You needed additions to your defensive line, and they went out and got them. The big move was the 4-star defensive end Damon Wilson coming from Missouri. That was a huge flip, considering Damon Wilson had a good year for Missouri last year and was probably getting SEC interest as well. Now, probably saying money comes into play here, but it's still, to be able to flip someone of his caliber immediately fills a big hole vacated by Bain and Mesidor. And then on the interior, you've got Keona Davis, the defensive tackle from Nebraska, one of the better defensive tackles in the Big Ten last year. He's going to come and help beef up the interior of that line with Ahmed Motens Jr. So they'll need to find a second defensive end, but they've done well in the portal with their big buys to fill 2 big holes. And then you've got the 4-star safety Omar Thornton, who has come out of Boston College. Great safety for BC last year, and will be a big addition for Miami's backfield. So, again, not all the flashiest names in the world, but they've got a ton of 4-stars in their transfer portal class, and they're one they're trying to pay their way towards a natty title game at the minute. They do develop a lot of their own, but they do splash the cash a lot in the portal. So Miami does come in at number 4 there. Top 3, and maybe in terms of recognisable names, well, for me at least anyhow, this is the big one. Number 3, you've got Texas, the Longhorns, and obviously Arch Manning coming into his critical year where he's probably going to go to the draft when all this is said and done. But you've got to help him. You've got to put some weapons around him. You've got to keep him protected. You saw last year it took a long time for him to settle into his new job, but as the season wore on, he looked better and better. And to be fair to the team, they've gone out and helped him. They got the biggest wide receiver in the portal period. You've got the 5-star wide receiver Cam Coleman from Auburn, one of the biggest recruits in Auburn history. A couple of years ago, surprised he stayed there as long as he did, given the situation they've had at quarterback and head coach and everything that's gone on. But finally, he's been prized away, and Arch Manning gets one of the best wide receivers in college football. He's still done some incredibly good work, despite the fact of the situation he's been in at Auburn. And you can, put him in as a certain Biletnikov potential winner this year with Arch Manning at the helm. But yeah, you go out and get the best guy in the portal, you give your quarterback the best chance to succeed, and you give him a good run game to work with as well, so it's not all on him. And they did get one of the best players out the portal, 4-star running back Hollywood Smothers from NC State. And once again, like with Casey Conception, I have to watch our best players play at another program, but Hollywood Smothers, he's a home run hitter. He's got the speed, he's got the vision, he's got the feet, he's got everything you want in a running back, and he has absolutely got the chops to be wide receiver one there, because they've lost Quay Wisner, they've lost CJ Baxter. Like, that room's empty now, so they needed to refill it. Hollywood Smothers probably going to be running back one from day one there, and I'm not looking forward to seeing how well he's going to do there, but it was a huge pickup. And for backup for him, they got Raleek Brown from Arizona State, the breakout last year, when we all thought it was going to be Kanye Udo. But it's not often Arizona State running backs get tempted away from their team when they're doing so well, but Texas did it with Raleek Brown. So their new running back room is Hollywood Smothers and Raleek Brown. That is an absolutely fantastic running back room to go with Arch there and his new shiny weapon. They got a new left tackle, Melvin Ciani from Wake Forest, the 4-star. He's been a starter there for a couple of years now. Whether he does it at Texas, I don't know, but it's a big experienced part of the offensive line in front of him. You would expect he is going to start day one and provide a big anchor for them there. And then he's got from Michigan State the tight end Michael Masunas. He's a big unit. Been a decent receiver. I must admit, I've not heard much about him while he's been at Michigan State, but he's put up a few numbers there. He's a good blocker. So he's going to add some depth to that tight end room as well. So they've just had a complete upgrade at their skill positions. Have Texas, which they're going to need going into this year, but they've hit it with the portal really well. And then on the defense, a couple of big recognisable names going in there. Obviously, Anthony Hill Jr. this year, he's gone to the draft. They went and got Rasheem Biles, the outside linebacker from Pittsburgh. Now, you know how much I love my Pittsburgh prospects. I just absolutely adore them, especially in that front seven. They're just so destructive. They're so technically gifted. Athletically, they're freakish. Rasheem Biles everybody was after him. And to put Rasheem Biles in this Texas defense with Colin Simmons and guys like that, it's just not going to be fair next year. I think he's going to eat. I think he's going to put up some monster numbers in that defense, and he's just going to be tremendous. So yeah, big get for them. And then in the secondary, the big get was Bo Masco from Rutgers. Been a starter there for the last 2 years, and again, we talk about pedigree. Rutgers and their DBs are high pedigree. Come to the NFL most years, make good impact plays in the NFL. They're well trained, they're well developed. And Bo Masco was going to be the next in the long line of guys coming out there, but Texas were able to turn his head. And again, he's going to be another who's going to fit flawlessly into that Texas team. And it's a name no one really knows now. You will know about him after the first couple of months of next season. Bo Masco will be a name on people's lips because I think he is draft eligible. But this was a huge get for Texas for their secondary. So yeah, for me, it's one of my favourite portal classes, even though Smothers is in it. A lot of big recognisable names, a lot of very talented skill players who I think are going to make immediate impacts on this team. So you'll hear a lot of those. Grandizer goes, Hollywood Smothers sounds like a comedian or fruit jam or a Ben and Jerry's ice cream. Hey, he's tremendous. I love him. You knew as soon as you saw him hit the field for NC State he was going to be a star, and he has been. Just sadly is not going to be a star for us, but he is part of Texas's number 3 transfer portal class. That leaves us with a final 2, and of course they are both in the SEC. Why wouldn't they be? Because that's where the money belongs. At number 2, you've got Ole Miss. Obviously, no Lane Kiffin. A lot of their portal transfer talent has left, so they're not in the list for the overall gotten better team because of the portal, because they've lost so much through the portal. But they have gone nuts trying to fill in all the holes on this team, and that starts offensively. They got the 4-star quarterback Juice Knight from Auburn. He was meant to be Auburn's next big thing at quarterback. I think he came in last year's high school class, if I remember rightly, but they've been able to turn his head, and they'll get into Ole Miss now. We don't know what's happening with Trinidad Chambliss yet. If Chambliss's appeal for another year fails, you would assume Juice Knight is going to be the guy who takes over from him. This is the succession plan. Ideally, they want Chambliss for one more year, and they'll put Juice Knight in, but he was a very highly coveted high school prospect and has a lot of potential at college level. So that was a big get for Ole Miss in case Chambliss doesn't come back. You got the left tackle Carius Kern from LSU. He was a starter there. Played a lot of reps for that team. So you've got a new blindside protector there. You've got the 4-star wide receiver Darrell Gill from Syracuse. Now, Syracuse were an absolute train wreck last year, but Darrell Gill was an exception to that, playing with not the best quarterback situation in there, about 600 yards, good few touchdowns for him. And you watch him play, he's very tough. He's another one of these very physical receivers, loves to get in DB's faces, gives as good as he gets. If Chambliss is there next year, or even if it's Juice Knight, I think he's going to show out because he's just going to be on a much better team. Syracuse were just a train wreck last year. Not a good place for you to be able to up your draft stock, but nevertheless, another 4-star in there for Ole Miss. They got the 3-star tight end Brady Prieskorn from Michigan. Now, those with a memory will know that Ole Miss and Prieskorns have history. Caden Prieskorn came through that system a few years ago. Tight end is in the NFL now. Younger brother has decided after 1 year at Michigan he is going to go try his luck there as well. And then the real anomaly here, and I'm interested to see whether he plays or not, but Trinidad Chambliss did, coming from Division 2 last year. You've got the 3-star running back Joshua Dye. Now, the ones who've listened to the pod a lot may remember us talk about him. So Joshua Dye is from Southern Utah in the FCS, and I will read these stats for you because these are the numbers he posted, and this is just for last year, one season. 1,822 rushing yards, 28 rushing touchdowns. That's in one season. Some guys don't get that in their entire collegiate career. He went nuts. I believe there was one game, or maybe 2, that he didn't reach 100 yards, but he was pretty close to him in both occasions. He just absolutely destroyed everything in his way last year, and statistically was just an absolute superstar. Now, obviously, it doesn't mean he's going to come to Ole Miss and be a star right away, because the SEC is a different kettle of fish altogether, but Trinidad Chambliss came to Division 2 and was an outside Heisman contender. Didn't start the year. But Joshua Dye is one of those. He's an outsider you need to know about. Because if you start hearing the name early and he gets a chance early, special things could happen there. But yeah, 1,800 yards and 28 touchdowns in a season is crazy. And obviously defensively, they've had to replace a lot as well, but a lot of starters coming into the building for them, a lot of good ones. You got the 4-star cornerback Jay Crawford from Auburn. You got the 4-star safety Edwin Joseph from Florida State. Again, another one of the Seminoles who did really well last year. You got the 4-star defensive end Blake Purchase from Oregon. who played about 300 snaps in rotation for them last year, so good experience with the Ducks. You've got the 3-star linebacker Keaton Thomas from Baylor, who's a monster. I would expect him to do very, very well in that Ole Miss team. That is a name you will hear a lot next season, Keaton Thomas. And then you've got the 3-star defensive end Jonathan Maldonado from Nevada. 8 sacks for him last season on this Nevada side, who've kicked out some good defensive end talent, not finished at their own team, but they've kicked a lot into the portal. And Jonathan Maldonado is going to be interesting for Ole Miss, because obviously they're missing, no Prince Welluman Malin. Their edge room is empty. So if Maldonado gets a chance from Nevada, it could be another one of these hidden gems through the system. So we will see. But yeah, Ole Miss certainly have a lot of talent coming to that team, but they've lost a lot as well, so that one kind of evens it out. But in terms of the class in general, it's been really good. And then the number 1 class, and this is maybe not surprising because they've gone and spent a ton of money and they've got a prima donna of a head coach who loves for it to be all about him. Number 1 is LSU, the top ranked portal class this year, and they have gone mad, specifically on offense. Garrett Nussmeier going to the draft, so they've gone out and got a replacement for him, the 5-star quarterback Sam Leavitt from Arizona State. Obviously you've heard a lot about him over the years because of Rye, the resident Arizona State fan, but LSU were the ones who were able to get the deal done with him. And they've given him the best blindside protector from the portal, the 5-star left tackle Jordan Seaton from Colorado, who started day 1 since he stepped on Dion's team. He's got 2 years of experience now going into his junior year. He is an absolute man monster, and there's no one better to protect your new quarterback, especially out the portal, than Jordan Seaton. They've done tremendous with him. But then the receiving core they've given him is absolutely crazy. Like, LSU like to make their own receivers. Most of their receivers come into the draft this year, including their big one, Aaron Anderson, the young slot receiver. So they've got the 4-star wide receiver Eugene Wilson III from Florida. Huge get from a division rival. Eugene Wilson III is really talented, and he's going to slot right into that LSU team right from the start. You've got the 4-star wide receiver Jace Brown from Kansas State. His numbers last year, if I could just remember, I can't, just give me one tick. I should have wrote the numbers down, but he had 712 yards, 5 touchdowns last year. Missed a bit of time with injury, but some huge games for him. Specifically against Kansas, he went off for 160. But he's going to be the slot receiver. He's going to be Sam Leavitt's go-to if and when he wants to. You've got the 4-star wide receiver Trey Brown III from Old Dominion. He has been absolutely fantastic for this Monarchs team, and this is a huge boon for him to get the call to go to LSU. I absolutely love him. I think he's going to do really well there. It might take a little bit of time for him to settle in. It might not. But let me just get his ones up. Why are we not here? He's... Trey Brown... 1, 2, 3. There we go. So, yeah, Trey Brown, 6'2", 180 pounds, 762 yards, 4 touchdowns for Old Dominion last year. He's still got 3 years of eligibility left. He was just a freshman last season. Just 2 drops on 63 targets. For a freshman, he did really well. He's a really good blocker as well, but this Old Dominion team and Ricky Rahn have just sent talent all over the Power 4, and Trey Brown he's got years to go, so you might not see him too much next year, but certainly the year after you will. And then you've got Jackson Harris from Hawaii, the Stanford breakout last year, who he'd done nothing at Stanford, goes to Hawaii, and then with Mika Alejo at the helm, they've just formed one of the best wide receiver quarterback pairings, but he's 6'3", 205, but 963 yards and 12 touchdowns for him last year, and he's still got plenty of eligibility. Last year was the first one that counted for him, so this is a hell of a good receiving core that Sam Levitt's going to have this year. Eugenie Wilson and Jace Brown have the Power 4 experience, and a lot of it, and then Trey Brown and Jackson Harris are the stars coming out of the group of 5, and that's not to mention whatever recruits LSU have got in the building as well, because there's always some 5 stars knocking round. So their offense is potential to be very good. There wasn't so much in the offensive line department, so I'm interested to see what happens there, but we'll get to it. Then defensively, again, they've just picked starters up from here, there and everywhere. Prince Weluma Malin from Ole Miss was their big acquisition, obviously coming down with Lane Kiffin. We're not as sold on him as his brother, but you know, there is a lot of hype behind him. He's got a long way to go to fulfill that hype, but they still rate him a 5-star. Still has the opportunity to be a big impact player there for them. And they need a proper edge rusher there. You know, they've been lacking one, so it's as good a get as you can get out the portal. And then you've got the 4-star Ty Benefield, the safety from Boise State, who we have mentioned on this pod before. He's been a monster for Boise this last couple of years. I think he's going to start day one at LSU. Just going to bring a lot of steel and grit to that secondary, and against the run as well. He is absolutely tremendous. They did really well there, fixing him in. Then you've got the 4-star defensive tackle, Stephen Green. You've got the 4-star linebacker, TJ Dottery from Ole Miss, another starter, one of the main leaders of that defense they've managed to poach as well. And then you've got the 4-star safety, Fahim Delane, brother of Mansour. So obviously Mansour Delane, part of that LSU program. Well, his brother's going down there as well. He comes from Ohio State. It was his first year last year. He didn't play much at all, but he is a high 4-star recruit. So again, they've just filled it with 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 5-stars out the portal, then a load of high 4-stars as well. Lane Kiffin is all about that money. He has spent a lot on this LSU team this year, so they will be expecting dividends right away. So LSU, they have the top portal team of 2026. So the list again: number 10 is Notre Dame, number 9 Texas Tech, number 8 Indiana, number 7 Oklahoma State, number 6 Penn State, number 5 Ohio State, number 4 Miami, number 3 Texas, number 2 Ole Miss, and number 1 LSU. You didn't miss Georgia, Lisa, because Georgia were not in it. They were not deemed to have one of the better classes out the portal this year. So they're not in the top 10. I don't know where they ranked actually. I'll have to have a little look for you, but they were not in the top 10 this year, and they are not in the top 10 of the next class we have to go through. So as I mentioned, we've done the 24/7 overall classes. So this is just, you know, the overall score you get from your portal class and, you know, all that. Next, we've got the On3 Team Transfer Portal Index. So this, as I say, is the algorithm. It determines how much a school has improved by its overall portal class. So this is adding and losing. So you can add a lot of good guys, but if you've lost a lot of good guys, you will not get a good score on the system. It's about which teams are better overall because of the work they've done in the portal. And it's a little bit different. And we've got a few new teams in here, so I'm not going to rehash the teams we've already done because you know who they've got, etc. We'll just talk about the 4 or 5 new teams that are involved on this. Just quickly before we do, I'm going to take this jumper off because I'm really hot. Sorry about that. I have the heating on because it's been freezing over here, so the heating's on full whack at the minute, and I thought I might need a jumper, but I didn't. But yeah, Lisa, you did not miss Georgia there, but I will talk a little bit about Georgia's class at the end. I said I will talk about Georgia, Michigan, and Minnesota. For, you know, all the teams you follow, we'll talk a little bit about them. But On3's rankings for the teams who have done best in regards to have they gotten better overall through the portal. Number 10, we have Texas. So they rank at number 3 when it comes to the overall class, but only at 10 when it comes to are they better from their acquisitions to the losses. But I agree with that there. At number 9, we've got Notre Dame. They were also in that list as well. At number 8, we have a newbie. We've got Arkansas. Now, obviously, Arkansas, one of many with a new head coach this year, and with a new head coach comes a lot of new players and the potential to be a much better team. Obviously, Ryan Silverfield is the head coach there now. The former Memphis head coach comes in, and he has brought a lot of talent with him, specifically on their defense, which needs it. But offensively, Arkansas, they're not sporting a new quarterback this year. They've got an in-house fight for that, but they've upgraded their offensive line. So the big acquisitions: Davian Weatherspoon, the guard from Ohio, but he is a Detroit, Michigan native. Ohio team captain last year, one of only 2 team captains on offense, and that's including the quarterback. So one of the most important players there. He was an all-MAC guy as well. And then at left tackle, they've got Bryant Williams, the starting tackle from Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns. He's been started there the last couple of years. So 2 big acquisitions for their offensive line. But it's the defense that they've gone heavy on. Arkansas's defense was 120th in total defense last year. It was really, really bad. So to do better this year, they've brought in a lot of defensive prospects. You've got the edge, Stephen Souls from Kentucky. He had 6 sacks last year. Big, lanky, rangy edge who's only first year of starting last year, so it was a good get for them. They got the quarterback, Jaheim Johnson from Tulsa. 4 interceptions and 10 pass breakups for him last year. And you get the starting linebacker, Kamori House, in from UNC. So a lot of talent infusion onto that defense there. But obviously they've not lost much this year. They've added a lot of starting experience and a lot of production which they didn't have before, hence why what they've gained far outweighs what they've lost. So they are better than they were last year, significantly so. It'd be nice to see Arkansas do well again. Not rooted for them since KJ Jefferson left, but certainly Ryan Silverfield making his mark there. At number 7, we've got Houston, the Cougars. In the second year of Willie Fritz there now. And obviously they're preparing for the imminent arrival of Keyshawn Henderson. He is the number 1 high school recruit in the nation, period, the quarterback. And the portal activity tracks that they're trying to give him an offense that's going to work. Obviously Connor Weigman is staying there another year, so we may not see him this year, but they're certainly trying to prepare for the future for when Keyshawn Henderson arrives. So their top 2 transfers are offensive line. You've got the true freshman offensive coordinator, Antony Boswell, from offensive center. Offensive coordinator, sorry. You've got the true freshman center, Antony Boswell, from Toledo. So as a true freshman last year, he ranked 12th amongst all centers in the nation last year. Had a PFF grade up nearly 80. His run blocking, his pass blocking were both superb. One of the most promising young centers in the nation. Houston are going to have him now, and specifically for when Henderson's going to be starting next year, he'll be a 3-year starter by that point. You will have one of the best centers in the business snapping to him. And then you've got the phenomenal 3-year starting left guard, Shadray Hurst from Tulane. I've mentioned Shadray Hurst before. He's been on one of my teams to watch, I believe. He's given up 1 sack on 1,224 pass protection snaps. Now, obviously, he's worked with Fritz before at Tulane. But Shadray Hurst was one of the best guards on the market, period. And to get in Boswell and Hurst is 2 parts of their line set for a couple of years now. They also got the starting right tackle Drew Terrell from Miami of Ohio, who had a really good year in the MAC last year as well. So they've just had a complete revamp on their offensive line, have Houston. So hopefully give Weigman this year and Henderson next year chance to throw the ball much better. At the running back room, they got Mackie Hughes from Oregon. Obviously, Mackie Hughes, back when he was at Tulane, was one of the best running backs in the nation, period. Didn't work for him at Oregon last year, got beaten out, ended up redshirting, and he's following his head coach. Again, this year coming to Houston, he's had a year off. No injuries, no tread on the tyres. He could potentially be, off the bat very quickly, running back one here and one of the best running backs there is. He was thought of as a very good draft prospect. He still could be, but that's a real big get for Houston in their backfield to have a legitimate starting running back one in there. And then they've given him weapons to throw at as well, whoever's going to be at quarterback. You've got Trent Walker. He's from Oregon State, the Beavers. He's had 1,700 yards in the last 2 years. And then you've got the UTSA tight end Patrick Overmeyer, who had 5 touchdowns last year as well. So a lot of work has gone into this Houston offense, as again, predating Keyshawn Henderson's arrival. So it's probably going to be pretty good this year, all things considered, with what they've brought in. And then on defense, secondary is where they've had a lot of work. It wasn't great last year, but you've got the safety Javion White from Tulsa, and you've got the cornerback Jalen Mayo from Stephen F. Austin. Both starters, 7 interceptions between the pair of them last year, both going to slot in right away. So as well as the offense getting a big boon, the secondary has as well. But yeah, Houston's certainly going to be a lot more talented than they were this year, and they did pretty well last year. They just kind of ran out of steam towards the end of the season, but I would expect them to take another step forward this week. Grandizer goes past an hour and 1 hour down, 4 more to go. Yes, no, there's not long to go now, actually, probably about 20-30 minutes and we're probably done, so will be a short one. Told you it would be in comparison. But sorry, yeah, that's Houston coming in at number 7. At number 6 we've got Virginia Tech, another head coach, another influx, and of course this transfer portal class is fronted by a huge Penn State invasion. James Franklin coming in, the long-time Penn State head coach. He's managed to flip a ton of his prospects and his players from Penn State to come to Virginia Tech. Headlined by Ethan Grunkemeyer at quarterback. He will be their starter this year. You've got tight end Luke Reynolds, who will be one of his favourite targets this year, and you've got the cornerback Kenny Wosley as well. But you've got a ton of other Penn State prospects coming in. I'll not list them all out, but it's going to be Penn State light there this year. Brent, did I see your running back question? No, let me have a look. Mike Washington. I will, as soon as I've done this, I'll get back to it, Brent. I never miss your questions if I can help it. Ethan Grunkemeyer, Luke Reynolds, Kenny Wosley, ton of other Penn State players come in here. In terms of guys from outside the building who've come in, Virginia Tech, I'm looking at their secondary next year because there are some prospects on here who I really like, who are going to get to test themselves at Power 4 level. Jarquez White comes from Troy. He was a Division II player initially, came up to Troy last year, first year in the FBS, 3 picks, one of them was a pick 6, 10 pass breakups. He was a ball-hawking menace for the Troy Trojans last year, and I love Troy defensive prospects, just they are a bona fide thing, really. But yeah, he's going to get his chance at Virginia Tech. And then my UConn guy, they went and got UConn's star cornerback Cam Chadwick. He had 4 picks last year. He is just a true junior. He's started as a true freshman, had last year as a true sophomore. And yeah, he's going into his 3rd year. He's been a starter since the day. But Cam Chadwick is great against the run. He is another ball hawk, loves to take the ball away from you, and he's just so sticky in coverage. I was hoping he'd be UConn's next big thing in the draft, but James Franklin was able to get him. So Jaquez White and Cam Chadwick, the 2 great get-ups for Virginia Tech in the secondary there. They also got the defensive end Samuel Okunlola from Colorado. He missed it last year with an injury, but in the previous 2 years, one at Pitt, one at Colorado, he's a really good defensive end. Ton of potential behind him. So if that injury's worn off and they get back the player that he was becoming, that's another great defensive get there for Virginia Tech. But yeah, certainly a lot of names there to watch for with them going forward. It's been a real good class for them. Number 5, we've got Louisville. And Louisville have had one hell of a draft class. Obviously, Brome down there, wanting to get the job done, wanting to be competitive in the ACC. It's Lincoln Kineholt's time in Louisville now. Obviously, the former Ohio State prospect, the quarterback, is now going to be down there leading that line. It's a draft away. It's a move away from what they've done. They've liked to bring in experienced quarterbacks from the portal in previous years. Kineholtz hasn't really played at all, but he is going to be the man leading the line. And again, there's a lot of talent coming in to help him. They've brought in the star Vanderbilt wide receiver Trey Richardson and Tulsa tight end Brody Foley. Now, Brody Foley is a name you want to keep an eye out on. He's 6'6", 260 pounds, 7 touchdowns last year for the Golden Wave. He's going to be one of those who will slot him right away. He's a really good blocking tight end as well, especially he's got the body to do it. But yeah, Brody Foley is a name to watch out for. Obviously, Trey Richardson was great for Vanderbilt last year. And then they got rising star Jackson Voth from Drake in the FCS. Obviously, Drake been a playoff team this last couple of years, or they flirted with it, but he was one of the better receivers coming out the portal from the FCS. So a lot there for Kineholtz to throw at. And then in terms of his offensive line, boy howdy. So you've got Delaware left tackle Anwar O'Neal, Boston College left guard Eric Doherty, you've got Georgia Southern left tackle Johnny Brown, you've got Western Kentucky center Evan Wibberley, and you've got South Carolina right tackle Kason Henry. All starters, all arrived through the portal. They have brought in an absolute ton of starting experience through the portal. So, you know, it might take time to get it together, but in terms of snaps in college, it's going to be one of the most experienced lines in the league. And that's coming on top of what they already had there. And then on defense, they've, again, names to watch. They've snatched 7-sack Tyler Thompson from UNC. They got starting safety Keon Entringer from Iowa. They won the battle for star true freshman safety Dylan Rousey from Murray State. That is a name to watch. Dylan Rousey last year, 2 interceptions. Really good run defense from Murray State. One of the most prized prospects coming out of the FCS. Louisville got him. They got edge Gerard Smith from their rivals Kentucky. They got starting Eastern Kentucky nose tackle Tommy Zeismer and Elon quarterback Bryson Scott, cornerback, sorry. Again, all starters, all a ton of talent that's come through, various systems. But in terms of the amount of experience they've brought in, Louisville have just absolutely crushed it. And I'm interested to see how they do this year. And then the last of the new teams we've got, number 4, we've got Texas A&M. Texas A&M have attacked their D-line hard this year because obviously Cassius Howell coming to the draft, a few other prospects coming up as well, and they want to beef up that D-line. So at edge, you've got Ryan Henderson coming in from San Diego State, 8 sacks last year. San Diego State's defensive end due at the minute. And then you've got Anto Sarker from Northwestern. He brings huge Power 4 experience in with him, 4 sacks last year, but he's been slowly getting better as time goes on. They got Illinois nose tackle Angelo McCullum, UNC 3-tech CJ Mims, and you got Brandon Davis Swain from Colorado. Tamu's just had a whole injection on its defensive line here, but Henderson and Sarker are the ones you want to watch for. On offense, you got a little bit. They flipped Isaiah Horton from Bama. He had a good year with Bama this year, so big target there for Marcel Reed. And they bought Alabama's starting right guard / right tackle because he was both William Formby, and they got Trovon Bowell, the right guard, from South Carolina. So yeah, Tamu have really attacked their trenches, which is why their class is so high here, and they've not lost a lot through the portal either. Mike Elko is provided a really good base for them. Their players just don't want to leave, so, well, not the starters anyhow. So Tamu's class ranks number 4, and then at number 3 we got Texas Tech. At number 2 we've got LSU, and number 1 in the nation is Indiana. So by the metrics, they only had the 8th best class overall, but in terms of what Indiana have brought in to what Indiana have lost, the metric is saying they're going to be a much better team this year than they were last, which is crazy given they won a natty, but they have brought in some hella talented players. Like I say, you've got a lot of good skill players in there. You've got a brand new QB who can be a Heisman guy off the bat because he's already nearly been one. Mendoza wasn't in the Heisman running before he came to Indiana, but Josh Hoover has been for TCU. But yeah, it's that's saying Indiana's it. So overall, the top 10 for best aggregate team who've done well in the portal: 10 is Texas, 9 is Notre Dame, 8 is Arkansas, 7 is Houston, 6 is Virginia Tech, 5 is Louisville, 4 is Texas A&M, 3 is Texas Tech, 2 is LSU, and 1 is Indiana. So that is it in terms of the listing as the rankings of some of the better portal classes out there. Obviously, it would be impossible to do all 134 or whatever they are. Obviously, when we're doing team previews throughout the summer, you'll hear more about some of these portal classes and guys that have been brought in when we do the overall team previews. Let's just do that question, and then, because what I've said I'll do the portal classes of some of the teams you guys like as well, just so you know what is what. But I did have Brent's question about Mike Washington somewhere. Oh Lord, stop doing this to me. Oh God, where have I gone? There we go. Sorry, quickly got lost there. Watched Arkansas/Texas A&M to check out the Aggies' edges and got floored by Razorbacks RB Mike Washington Jr. Your thoughts on him? Mike Washington Jr. had a hell of a Shrine Bowl. I was impressed, just like you were, Brent. He ran tough, good contact balance, getting those extra yards after carry. Obviously, his interior offensive line did really well for him, but I was impressed. I need to watch him a little bit more, but if he played in college like he did there, then there's always need for a good yak, for a yards after contact guy in the NFL. And I was watching him thinking, this guy could be a good prospect. So, yeah, I'm with you. I saw him at the Shrine Bowl. I was very impressed, and hopefully he's able to carry on with that going forward. But I will probably check him out a little bit more. I can't give you a fully definitive answer there, but yeah. I was impressed by what I saw of him in the All-Star games. We'll have, and he now is warranting further checking out, which is always a good sign. Okay, so down to these last few teams of ours. So I don't think he's in the building. So mile marker, if you're here. I've not seen you in so far, but I've had a look through classes from teams you guys like. I started with Minnesota, and all I can say is Minnesota ranked 59th on the On3 metric, so they're about middle of the pack. What they've lost, they've regained through the portal, but I am hella excited by Minnesota's transfer portal class, especially their defensive players. They've got some absolute studs coming to them, no more so. And this is one of those transfers I saw when I was doing this earlier today, and it made me smile because I love this kid, and I have done for the last few years. I didn't even know he transferred to Minnesota, but Minnesota's prize asset through their portal class this year is the edge TJ Bush from Cal. Now, the more eagle-eyed ones of you will remember this, but we talked about TJ Bush before he moved to Cal. He was at Liberty, and he had a couple of absolutely cracking years at Liberty, was a rising star in the edge ranks, and then he went to Cal, which is we thought he could have done better than Cal. Thought one of the bigger teams would have snapped him up. But he had a decent year. 5 sacks, 11.5 tackles for loss were both leading on the Cal team. He led the Cal team in sacks and tackles for loss. He's 6'3", 265 pounds. He's got that perfect build. He's maybe an inch short, but 265. Nice big chunky body, good for run defense, but He is super explosive. He is exciting as an edge prospect. The bend he can impart on his rushes is absolutely tremendous. Like, he's got a good pass rush repertoire. And he's now at Minnesota, which just defensively just elevates guys to the next level. And I cannot wait to see what they do with TJ Bush now they've got their hands on him. He's still potentially got 2 more years left in college, but I could see him being a one and done. The Big Ten is going to hate him next year. They're going to be offensive tackles who are going to lose the will to live playing against this kid next year. I love him that much, and I'm really, really excited for the impact that he's going to have on that Minnesota team. Obviously, as I say, Antony Smith is going to the draft. They've lost their star edge, but this kid is much better than Antony Smith, and will probably get drafted higher than wherever Antony Smith does. So TJ Bush, mile marker, is going to be an absolute stud for you. But it's not just that. This defensive line is going to be a pain. So they got the defensive tackle Zion Chapman from Florida International. Now, 12 months ago, he was playing for Lackawanna, who are a JUCO team, or they're soon to be Division 2, but they're a JUCO team. But he was a Lackawanna transfer last year to Florida International. Willie Simmons got his hands on him, and you know, that Florida International team did well. Willie Simmons had a winning season with them. He excelled. 3 sacks, 24 pressures, 80 for his pass rushing grade. He's 6'4", 300 pounds at defensive tackle. He's huge, and he has great pass rush ability in addition to the run defense he provides at that size as well. He's going to be a menace on that Minnesota interior. I don't know whether he'll start right away, but I would expect him to have some form of an impact next year. So between TJ Bush and Zion Chapman, they've got 2 absolute studs there, but TJ Bush more than anybody. But it doesn't end there. They got a pair of edges from Marshall. They got Naquan Crowder from Marshall. He is 6'3", 319 pounds. He is a 320 pound edge. He graded 84 against the run last year. You want to crush the can man. He's a crush the can man. He only got like 2 sacks, which at 320 you're not going to get many sacks off the edge. But Marshall have 1 designated pass rusher, 1 designated run stopper. He was the run stopper. So Naquan Crowder is going to provide a huge body for that Minnesota defensive line, especially in that league. Teams like Minnesota, Michigan and that who love to run the football, they're going to hate playing against Naquan Crowder. And they also got his partner from Marshall, Sid Carber. So he's another 80 plus run defense. He's 6'3", 289 pounds. Like, they got themselves 2 seriously chunky edges who are great at run defense, which is what Minnesota prides itself on. They're ever so impressive. I'm looking forward to seeing those, but it's a huge infusion onto that defensive line. And then you've got the secondary, which they've invested highly in as well. So you've got the safety Mekhi Smith. He's from Lehigh. Ryan will tell you more about him, but he's an FCS star. He had 4 picks, a forced fumble, an 80 grade against the run last year. You notice a theme here. Minnesota love their guys who run defense. He's 6'2", 210 pounds, so he's a big, chunky safety. Got some good height to him as well. And Lehigh, they're one of those triple option teams, love to run the football. That's all he'll be doing in practice, is stopping the run, stopping the run, stopping the run. But as I say, with 4 picks, good through the air as well. And then they've got the real outside wild card. So you've got the safety Parker Knutson. He's from Division 2, from Southwest Minnesota State. So he is he's an in-state prospect from Division 2. 13 interceptions and 32 pass breakups in his time in Division 2. He's 6'1", 190. More of a... He'll probably be the Coy Perich type guy they're going to try and replace him with, even though he can't replace Coy Perich. But the 2 very talented safeties they've got there to replenish that safety room, Mekhi Smith and Parker Knutson. And as mentioned, with all those defensive line transfers they've got 2-star defensive linemen coming out of high school this year. You've got Howie Johnson, who I'm going to do a feature on at some point because he looks incredible, the defensive lineman. He's the number 1 player in Minnesota. The state this year, they've managed to keep him in state, which is, you know, a big boon for them. And then they got another 4-star defensive end in Aiden Eich. He's their best prospect in this class. So Yeah, while Minnesota have lost a lot in the portal, defensively, I think they're going to be just fine next year. That line is going to be crazy good. So that's your portal class there. Not much to tell you about in terms of offensive additions. They got a massive tackle from Tennessee who's not really played. The only one of note is the running back TJ Thomas. He's from Elon in the FCS. Over the last 2 years, he's had 1,000 yards and 11 touchdowns. He's 5'8", 190, so he's on the smaller side as well. But defensively, Minnesota knocked it out of the ballpark. And then we'll finish off. So, Michigan, Brent. Again, nothing huge in terms of some of the ratings of the guys. They've got 3-4 stars coming in. Now, obviously, they have borrowed from Utah. So, you've got John Henry Daly, the edge, 6'4", 255 pounds. Led the league in sacks for a long time last year. He's coming into his 6th year. Excuse me. He's only going to be around... Beg pardon. He's only going to be around for 1 year. But John Henry Daly is a big man. And he will fit just right in on this Michigan team. And then they got Smith Snowden. The two-way player is cornerback. He's 5'10", 173 pounds. But he is deployed as a running back as well. And he does return work. And in terms of his coverage, for a guy his size, his coverage is absolutely tremendous. He's one of the more coveted players on that Utah side. In fact, I think he's put on a bit of weight. He's up to about 180 now. But yeah, he is a receiver and he is a corner. 2 interceptions, 5 pass breakups last year. But he was only giving up 44% of his receptions. Over his career, he's given up 43% on his receptions. Just 58 receptions given up on 133 targets. You want a great coverage linebacker, he is a great coverage linebacker. Plays primarily in the slot, of course, at that size he will. But he did play a good amount on the outside last year, so he's gaining some versatility in that room. Only trouble is his missed tackles. It was 29% last year, which is a little high. It's 21 on his career. So, again, with him being a bit smaller, tackling can be a little bit of a pain, but there's no doubting how talented he is. So, Henry Daly and Snowden, 2 of the best defenders on that Utah side coming into the fray. So, yeah, those are the ones you got there. The other 4-star is Salisi Moa. He is coming in from Utah as well. Like I said, there's a lot of Utah players coming, and his brother has been recruited from Michigan State. Isaiah Moa. I know Michigan fans love that one. Both brothers are going to get to play with one another. In other ones who've come across from Utah, J.J. Buchanan, the wide receiver. Jonah Leah, the defensive lineman. I think that might be it, but the majority of these guys are very experienced guys coming in from this Utah team with Kyle Whittingham. He's done well there. And then some of the big signings, they managed to poach James French from Texas. I know they had big plans for him this year. Texas did. He was a high-level recruit for them. I didn't really see much. I only played 1 snap for them last season, 6'1", 185. But I know he was a big part of their future. Does play wide out. He's not a slot receiver. He does generally play on the outside. I would expect him to get a lot of reps there. Him and Andrew Marsh will form a pretty good tandem there at the wide receiver group. So some good ones. And then your linebackers, your new linebackers going forward. And you are going to fall out with mile marker here because you've poached from his favourite team. Nathaniel Staling is the one to keep a close eye out for, the North Dakota State linebacker. He's 6'2", 238 pounds. He is a little bit of a do-it-all guy. It was his first starting year last year. Graded 81 against the run. 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, nearly 80 tackles, a missed tackle percentage of sub 10%, which is always good for linebackers. 3 interceptions as well. The guy's good in coverage. 2 of them in the playoff game against Illinois State, so did it when the stakes were high. But he's still got a couple of years left. But yeah, Nathaniel Staling is the guy they went for in that room. Probably going to replace Cole Sullivan. And on that, hang on, where were we? And then the other one they bought in, Christian Pierce, they've bought in. He's from Wichita Baptiste. I don't know a lot about Wichita Baptiste, but he's coming as a 3-star. So they've gone lower for their linebackers this year, but it remains to be seen. But yeah, Michigan's portal, they were ranked 68th overall, but they lost a lot of talent to the portal, so it doesn't even out. I don't know where the class ranked in just of its overall, but yeah, some good ones coming in there from Utah. Speaking of which, I don't know if you saw, Brent, but Jaden Davis, one of the most shocking transfers of the entire portal. Jaden Davis, he used to be a 4-star recruit, once thought of as Michigan's starter for the future. He's gone to East Tennessee State. He's dropped all the way down to the FCS. I am shocked. I'm shocked a Power 4 team, let alone a Group of 5 team, didn't take a chance on him. But yeah, East Tennessee State landing probably one of the best quarterbacks they'll ever have in their lives. I could be wrong, but in terms of a recruit, hell of a one for him. But I did not expect Jaden Davis to go down that route. So yeah, East Tennessee State, we'll see how he gets on. But yeah, that is your Michigan class. Let me just get through these comments from Grandizer. Are Service Academy players allowed to enter the portal? I think so. Yes, they are. But you have to go back and do your service when you're done. Obviously, like Kanye Udo last year went in the portal. You can do, but you're deferring your service till a later date. So yes, you can. Yeah. You can go in the portal as a service player. And all of the QBs enter in the portal for their final season. Which one QBs have the most to gain? Oh, I'll come back to that one in a minute. Yeah, Brent, wow. Can't believe you went there. We'll get back to your quarterback one to end it. I saw Lisa was knocking round. Georgia have the 53rd best ranked portal class in terms of the transfer portal index. Apparently they've lost more through the portal than they have gained from it. Obviously Georgia's strength lies in its recruiting, so they don't always hit the portal as much as they should. But it's like they got Keeman Spell. They recruited Keeman Spell the other day. He is by far the best running back in the 27 class. A massive get for Georgia next year, that is. But in terms of their portal class, it's pretty small. Only 8 players coming in. You've got, and they've only got one 4-star recruit in. That is Bryson Beaver, the quarterback from Oregon. He's not going to be starting for them this year. But yeah, Bryson Beaver was the big one in from Oregon, the only 4-star. Outside of that, you got the defensive lineman Amaris Williams from Auburn. Obviously stealing from an SEC rival. He's the edge player for them. He's been a rotational guy the last couple of years, but 2 sacks last year. 6'2", 260 pounds, but they obviously see him as more of a future player. You've got Isaiah Canyon, the wide receiver from Georgia Tech. You've got Khalil Barnes, the safety from Clemson. Gentry Williams, the safety from Oklahoma. Dante Dowdle, the running back from Kentucky. Oh God, let me just make sure I'm back in this again. My computer has this thing, I don't know, it's shutting down my screen when I'm trying to go on something, and then it just takes my screen off. Where was I? Oh yeah, sorry, I was looking at Dante Dowdle. Oh, stop it. There we go. I'm going to have to sort this out in due course. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, Dante Dowdle, 560 yards, 3 touchdowns for him last year. He transferred in from Nebraska the year before that. He's got 15 rushing touchdowns these last 2 years. So I would expect him to form some part of a tandem in that backfield for Georgia. And then there are other ones. You've got Jamali Riddle, the safety from East Carolina. Now, Jamali Riddle was on my players to watch list. Or he was an honourable mention. So he's the East Carolina corner. The reason he was on the list was because he broke through as a true freshman. He's a true junior this year. He's played 1,300 snaps for East Carolina this last 2 years. 6 interceptions, 8 pass breakups. His run defense averages at 75 plus. And he just gives up 62% on his receptions, which for a safety is pretty good. He's 6 foot, 182 pounds. Still got 2 years of eligibility left, as I say, as a true junior. I'm intrigued by this because I love Jamali Riddle as a player. And if he gets a starting gig at Georgia right away, then his name is going to come up in conversations for a high round draft pick. So you want to get ahead of the curve on this one. Jamali Riddle, remember the name, the safety for Georgia. For me, by far, their best acquisition in the portal. Then you got Braylon Conley, the corner from USC, and Tyquez Richardson at the tackle from... oh God, where the hell was he from now? I can't remember. Some guy, he was at... oh Lord, where was he? Alabama A&M. I should have remembered that. He's a HBCU guy. He's been a starter there for a couple of years now, so... Yeah, Tyquez Richardson, the Alabama A&M transfer on the offensive line. But yeah, that's why Georgia's not high on any lists, because they've only got 8 transfers. And again, they don't really need to transfer that much. So it is what it is. A little better than Michigan. It was a little better than Michigan, but yeah. Georgia's recruiting classes are where their strength lies. I'll go through it at some point in the off-season. We'll have plenty of time to go through it. So we've done Georgia, we've done Michigan, we've done Minnesota. I think those are the 3 that I wanted to hit. So that will be all the portal talk for today, I think. Obviously, there's a lot of names to go through. I'm just shouting a lot of names out there and it can be a bit convoluted. But hopefully now you've got a little better idea. Some of the teams to watch out for next year because of how much they've improved via the portal. And some of the players to watch out for as well. Obviously, these players will be included in our lists going into next season, but we have a draft to cover first. So, yeah, it's we've got a lot to get out of the way before we start looking at next year as collegiate football. When did the blue screen of death? I don't know. It's just this thing. I've got a new mouse. I don't know if it's a new mouse and whether I'm pressing a button on it accidentally, but it just keeps minimizing my windows, and when the window minimizes, Zoom stops working with this, so I have to expand it again. Just a weird one. So, Grandizer, we're going to finish this off. If anyone's got any other questions they want to fit in before I get out of here, because I'm going to get out of here shortly, then please do. But Grandizer's question: Ant, of all the QBs entering the portal for their final season, which one quarterback have the most to gain? Which one, if they have a good season, can solidify themselves as a sure first round pick? Let me, and I know this is not cheating. I just need to check the list of guys who've been in this year because I can't remember everybody. And I need to know who's in there last year as well. So, position is quarterback. Thank you. So in terms of guys who were in there last year who have the most again, the one that immediately stands out to me is Josh Hoover. He's going to be the new Indiana quarterback. Now, Josh Hoover has been immense for years now for TCU. He's broken a ton of records. You know, he's had some of the best seasons you can imagine. Overall, He's thrown for 9,605 yards, 70 touchdowns, 33 interceptions. Interceptions is the one where he's thrown 24 interceptions these last 2 years. So it's a bit of a gung-ho style at TCU where they love to throw the ball around all over the place, and it can be a little finicky. But it's going to be his last year as a starter. At Indiana, if you can have another good season, you can, because he's thrown for the last 2 years, he's thrown for 4,000 yards and 3,500 yards. If you can put up similar numbers to that, and you can do it in Indiana, in the Big Ten, because there are a lot better defenses you're going to face in the Big Ten. I'm not sure where Hoover's draft grade is right now, but I've certainly not heard anything about him as a top tier prospect, not like a number 1 overall prospect. Mendoza wasn't this time last year, to be fair, either, but Hoover, for how good he is and how underappreciated he is, I think he has the most to gain because he's on a much bigger stage now. And if Indiana make the playoffs again, he's going to be on the biggest stage of them all for him to be able to get to where he wants to. So Josh Hoover is certainly one that stands out for me there. In terms of others, I mean, Sam Levitt was already a high-level prospect anyhow. In terms of maybe notching himself into first overall consideration if he can win big at LSU, get them deep in the playoffs maybe, but I feel like that's cheating. Darian Mensah will also be able to at Miami. He can do a Cam Ward-esque thing where Darian Mensah's a good QB, but if Darian Mensah can do it at Miami, then he will improve his draft stock no end up into the first round. I'd say he's probably a fringe one already. I've not looked at next year's class, to be fair, at next year's draft rankings. But I wouldn't have him as a first right now. But I would have him as a first if he had a really good year at Miami. So he's got a lot to gain as well. Oh hell, what the hell am I saying? Of course it's Rocco Becht. Of course the Bechticle has the most to gain. Rocco's been underappreciated his entire career. If Rocco can go to Happy Valley and get them success, maybe win them a Big Ten championship, then Rocco's going to have the most to gain. This will be his last year. I feel stupid for not saying that before, given that I've been on the train all along. Okay, so Rocco Becht is number 1. Who has the most to gain from transferring in their last year? And then that's followed, as I say, by there's Darian Mensah in there, and there's Josh Hoover in there. I'm just trying to think if there's anyone else. I mean, I guess in terms of like day 3 guys, Byron Brown can. If Byron Brown has a good year at Auburn, because he's a dual threat quarterback, don't forget. He's done it all at USF. If he can have a good year at Auburn, Byron Brown will be a potential day 3 pick to... I want to say he's older. His draft stock, well, I think he can solidify himself in day 2. So Byron Brown, I will put as like the day 3 version of this. Not a day 1, but he could raise hundreds of spots if he has himself a good year there. And I think that would be my list. Just the 4 of them. So yeah, Rocco Becht, Josh Hoover, Darian Mensah. Where was he? And Byron Brown. I think that would be my list. Hopefully that is an acceptable answer for you. So yeah, I don't think we've had any other questions in here. Transfer portal, like the 1990s TV sci-fi sliders. Players enter the portal. It's like entering a parallel football universe. Yeah, I believe the stat this year was that 25% of all college players entered the portal this year. 25%, that's pretty high. 1 in every 4 players entered the portal. And that's just not over FBS, but that's FCS and everything else as well. So that's crazy. A lot of players, and it's just going to get worse for now. Bryce Underwood prediction under the new coach. It's hard to know because hang on, let me just look. So the portal hasn't really coughed anything up for them, which I think where there's going to be a lot more for him there. Obviously, you've got Andrew Marsh, you've got work around, but what's the running back room like? Hang on. Let me just have a little look at where we're at. I'm going to have to use the one that makes my screen go black, but it is what it is. So you're running back, Jordan Marshall, Micaiah Payne, Donovan Johnson. So you got freshmans. Oh, you got Max Bredesen. Max Bredeson's gone to the draft, so you can't have him. So that running back room's looking... Yeah, I don't know what they've got. They've got Savion Heiter coming, haven't they? So maybe if Savion Heiter's good. Your tight ends are Hogan Hansen, Zach Marshall, and Jalen Hoffman. It's young. You got 3 redshirt freshmen on that offensive line. Andrew Marsh, Jamar Browder, Channing Goodwin. I don't know, to be fair. The running back room's deep. Okay, I'll take your knowledge for that. I guess Savion Heiter will start right away. But I will have to take more of a look at it. I look at that run. Obviously, Jordan Marshall's good, but after that, Kaya Payne and Johnson, I don't know anything about them whatsoever. So, I would have to see. Obviously, the receivers are good enough. I don't want to hear about Jamar Browder, because you know why. But obviously, Andrew Marsh, Channing Goodwin are all right. Let's just say I'm sceptical right now. That tight end room doesn't look so clever. But I don't know what they've got coming through the high school either. So, for now, I would say... I can't see it being a massive year for him. But I am open to it. Obviously, we're miles away yet. We'll make a more informed decision close to the time, but some of those rooms don't look too deep for me as of yet. But I guess college football, the whole point is no one comes in ready, so it can always be changed here, there, and everywhere. Yes, Rocco Becht, of course, and Aidan Bauman didn't transfer. I have not seen his name as QB coming out this year. Aidan Bauman is in the draft, is he not? I think he's in the draft. Or is he? Yes, he is. I believe he is. I don't know. I might have to get back to you on that. Is he in the draft? Yes, he is. He is coming to the draft. He went to the... I don't know if he's been in an all-star game. I don't think he's been to one of the all-star... I've not seen him in an all-star game. So, yeah, I think he's going back. OL still looks questionable. Yes, it does, for Michigan. But again, we'll see. You know, these guys can appear from nowhere. There are a couple of experienced guys in there, so I don't take that all against them. Right. Anything else last minute? I'm just going to go through the next shows and everything, and if there's anything you want to throw in there, then by all means, please do. Obviously, next shows, the next main podcast will be on the 9th of February, in 5 days from now. That is be a Super Bowl review, and that's all it'll be. We got nothing else really planned for that, so yeah, we'll do a Super Bowl review. If there's anything you want us to do on that show, then let us know, and we might put it in there, because the Super Bowl review will only keep us going so long. And then on the 11th, next Wednesday, hopefully, definitely next week, the college football podcast, me and Ryan will be back, and we'll be doing draft bits and whatnot, but we'll be back as a tandem again. As I say, I just wanted to do this week to kind of get some of the bits out of the way. We've done the transfer portal now, we're up to date with that. That's one less thing, and we can focus on other bits, because I don't want to spend all our time trying to catch up on things we've missed while we've been away. But me and Ryan will be back next week. Obviously, find us at ROTL UK, all that good sort of stuff. So you know where to You know where to find us there. Let's do a 2026 NFL Detroit NFL Mock Draft Monday with Antony starting next week. A short 10 to 15 minute video, highly ho. Give the people what they want. Maybe we will. I like to keep my... So, again, as I've already said, I like to keep my mock drafts. I like to do 1 and 2. Obviously, we did our half season. We've not done it. We didn't do our final season mock drafts, me and Ryan, after the season, after everything that went on. So we are due 1. But I like my mock drafts to mean something. See, the more mock drafts you do, I just think it loses its legitimacy because people use, people who just do 50 mock drafts and then they say, "Oh, I picked this guy in my mock draft," and it's like, yeah, you did 50 of them. I like mine to mean something. Every player I pick is generally years of research, and I really like them, and I like my mock drafts to mean something. So I don't do them very often. Like, I will do 1, maybe 2 going forward. I've done 1 in our Discord this year, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, Anthony's done a mock draft." That's what I want it to be like. I don't want to just put loads of mocks up like this, that, and the other. So I can maybe do a thing where we do favourite prospects I'm looking at for the draft. Maybe something like that. But I'm not going to do a mock draft. I'm going to do my mock draft later on. Again, I like my mock draft to mean something. So I don't like to be one of those who oversaturates by doing 100 different mock drafts, because then I can just go back and go, "Oh, look at this mock draft I did. I picked this guy here." Absolutely no skill behind it whatsoever. I'm a skill guy. I like to make sure I do it right. So yeah, that's why I don't do too many mock drafts. I've not seen them in the Shrine or Senior Bowl. No, we will go over the bowl games on the next show we do, because obviously we've had the Hula Bowl, the American Bowl, the Shrine Bowl, and the Senior Bowl. So we'll break those down in a bit more detail when I've had a chance to. Obviously, there's that many bowl games to go through. We're still a ways away from the Combine. We've got the HBCU Legacy Bowl in 3 weeks' time. We will stream the Legacy Bowl because it is on NFL Network. So, yeah, we'll be live streaming the Legacy Bowl. We've got Dave coming on. We'll do a Legacy Bowl show, go through prospects and stuff like that, so you know the best of the HBCU prospects to look for this year. I weren't able to do one of those last year and I missed it, so we'll make sure the HBCU guys get their respect this year. But we'll do the bowl games in full, as we always do. Thank you, Brent, member for 3 months ago, for lost loved ones of ROTL UK. Appreciate it. We have had too many lost ones recently, but hopefully we can look forward to a bright future now and push forward. And Lions question: I heard someone say on Micro Mike's stream it should have been us in the Super Bowl and not the Seahawks. We sort of did all the right things. What are your thoughts? We didn't deserve to be in the Super Bowl. We didn't. We didn't do. We were not good enough. We were unprepared. We went into this season unprepared. And we suffered for it. And I know injuries didn't help, and 2 new coordinators didn't help, but we did not deserve to be in the Super Bowl. I'm just going to say that outright. The Seahawks and the Rams, teams like that, were better than us, and we didn't deserve to hang with them. You saw us play the Rams. Rams just eviscerated our defense. So no, I disagree. We don't deserve to be in the Super Bowl this year. The Seahawks do. And shout out to my guy Mike as well. I know he won't be watching this, but he got his 100,000 subscriber plaque recently. Mike is the GOAT of Lions YouTube, and he deserves millions, not hundreds of thousands, millions. So keep it going, Mike. You are the best at this, and you deserve your 100,000 plaque. Hopefully we'll get one day in like 50 years' time. By the way, our subscriber count is going up. But yeah, we didn't deserve to go there, and we've got a lot of work to do next year. I don't even think we're a favourite in the NFC to win it this year. Next year, we talked about it on the Be a GM episode. There's far too many, like the O-line's questionable. The quarterback depth room is questionable if Goff goes down. The tight end room is very questionable. The defensive line needs fixing at both spots. The linebacker room's empty. The cornerback room's questionable. The safety room's questionable. I'm only happy with the running back and wide receiver rooms right now. That's it. There is no other unit on this team I'm happy with. And, we're falling behind. We're at risk of falling behind. So, no, we didn't deserve to be there this year. And at the rate we're going, we don't deserve to be there next year at the minute. But a long time to go. Free agency to come. We can fill these holes. It is what it is. And use a mock draft simulator of your choice. I don't know who's good this year. I've not done any mocks really this year, but I'll find one. And that is why you do a mock draft, maybe 1 to 2 every month, not even streams. I'll have a look at it, but again, I like my mock drafts to be sacred. Cause I will stand up if I get them entirely wrong. I've never got a right person to the Lions, but a lot of the people I pick get picked by other teams and they do well in the NFL. So. Hey ho. Right, we're going to leave it at that because we're up at 2 hours. I thought we were going to do a lesser one today, but we always chat. We always get on there. So I appreciate all of you for joining. Obviously, yeah, I'll have Ryan back next time, which will be great. Doing these things solo can be a pain when it's just you talking all the time, but I hope you appreciated it. I hope you've got some good, valuable information out of this today, and I hope you enjoyed all the portal stuff we did. As I say, we'll be back next week, summing up bowl season, looking ahead to the HBCU Legacy Bowl and the Combine, and we may do our final season mock drafts next week to make up for the fact we didn't do it at the end of the college season. We'll see, but providing everything's all right with Ryan, we will be good. Appreciate you, Grandizer, Brent, Lisa, everyone who's in. As I say, it all means a lot to us, and we appreciate it. Yeah. And Brandon Kane of the Hawks Nest today talked about when your window is open, teams have to take their chance because for the most part they are one and done. Well, windows now. That's why I want to be aggressive this year. I want to free up all the money we can for free agency if we need it and use it and go for it. Because, yeah, you never know. Appreciate you, Brent. Appreciate all of you. In fact, before I do, the last thing I'm going to do before I get out of here, because I've got Grandizer in the building with me, I'm just going to list out a group of teams that I need content creators for, because you seem to know content creators from everybody. Our draft streams will be happening in a few months' time, and I've gone around sorting out guests for the shows. We'll be doing it as always. Guests from 31 other teams we hope for, and we're trying to get... I've got about 15 so far. But, Grandizer, from any of the following, if you know any good content creators... From the Cardinals, you've already given me one, so I'll take that. The Bills, the Bengals, the Bears, the Jags, the Chargers, the Raiders, the Vikings, the Patriots, the Giants, and the Titans. Those are the teams I need. So if you can recommend anybody to us for them, I would be most appreciative. So yeah. Alright, I'm getting out of here. Take care all, and I shall talk to you all again soon. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you on Monday.